Hello everyone, welcome back to the Roaming Super series. This is the second to last episode of the series, so it's kind of sad, but we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta go through all of the Roaming Supers, and in this video, you guys voted for Winter's Wrath. So here's what this build does. You're going to slow freeze everything you see in front of you, and you're also going to be getting a boatload of frost armor, and you're also going to be producing tons of stasis crystals. And if you didn't know, in the seasonal artifacts, the majority of the artifacts are tying to stasis, so this build is going to be even better. And I'm also using an exotic weapon that not many people really like, but Bungie did change it, and it's actually pretty fun. So in the gameplay that you are seeing in this video, I use this build in the most highest amount of endgame content you can possibly do in this game, so enjoy. The exotic armor piece you're going to want to use is this chest armor called RIME Coat Raiment. This is kind of like osmiomancy gloves, but instead of it giving you an additional cold snap grenade, this will enhance your bleak watcher. That's the stasis aspect we are going to be using for this build that will convert your grenade into a stasis turret. It would extend the range of the stasis turret, and periodically as the stasis turret is doing its job, it will periodically spawn in stasis crystals. So it would spawn in 4 medium stasis crystals, so 2 on the left and 2 on the right side of the stasis turret, and it would also create this bleak watcher stasis storm, if you like to call it like that. And also these stasis crystals will spawn every 15 seconds. If you were to shoot your weapon while inside of the stasis storm, it would release these stasis projectiles that will deal stasis damage and will apply times 50 slow to that target. So let's just say if you have stacks of these icicle shots and you were to exit out of your stasis storm, every 2 seconds those icicle shots will decay. So if you have times 5 icicle stacks, you would have 10 seconds for all of those stacks to deplete. And what's really cool about this exotic is that it basically converts the legendary scout rifle we're using for this build into the wicked implement. I know that Bungie nerfed this exotic this season because in the seasonal artifacts there is anti-barrier scout rifle, but if you were to put on the wicked implement, it would not give you anti-barrier rounds for the scout rifle because, you know, bungo, it is what it is. So I decided to put a legendary stasis scout rifle, so you can put any legendary stasis scout rifle you like, but I chose to put the new one that came out this act, but we'll get onto that later. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that one. Let's head to the Shade Binder Warlock subclass. There's only one super, but if you don't know how to use it properly, let me explain. While you're activating Winter's Wrath, whenever you use your light attack button, it will launch a burst of stasis shards in front of you that would freeze the target. And if you were to activate your heavy attack while your super is activated, it would release an AoE effect around you that shatters all frozen targets. So your main goal is to shoot your light attack first to freeze them, and then once that target is frozen, activate your heavy attack to shatter them. And we are using another aspect that will spawn in these stasis seekers that will go onto other targets to freeze them as well. It's kind of like an infinite loop when it comes to freezing targets. Onto the abilities. This is a stasis build, so their survivability is pretty slim to none, so you're going to be dying a lot. So go for Healing Rift that would heal you whenever you're inside of it. And you can also pair this Healing Rift with the stasis turret. So what I would do is that I would activate my stasis turret on me, and then I would activate my Healing Rift to give me continuous healing and also an overshield if your health is at full HP, if you want to get that overshield. For the stasis grenade, I would recommend going for Duskfield Grenade because this is the only grenade for stasis that has the lowest base cooldown. Because if you didn't know that for a grenade that has the lowest base cooldown, and if you were to use other stuff for a build that ties to generating tons of grenade energy, you're going to be getting it even more often. So we are doing that, so go for Duskfield Grenade. We're not using the Duskfield Grenade because we're converting it into a stasis turret, but just put it for the base cooldown. Onto the aspects. The first one is Ice Flare Bolts. This is the aspect that would give you that infinite loop when it comes to freezing a boatload of enemies. So in this build, we are going to be slowing and freezing a boatload, so this aspect will take it up to the next level. The next aspect you're going to want to put is Bleak Watcher because this is the main key point for this build. All you would have to do is hold your grenade button and it would convert it into a stasis turret. Once it has been converted, toss it in front of you, or you can toss it underneath you. Either of the two would work. And as it spawns, it would slow the targets and it would eventually freeze them if that target is still alive. And if you were to shatter and unstop tappable champion, it would stun him. And if you want to shatter, you would have to freeze him first and then keep shooting him as he's frozen to shatter him. So in total, we are going to be getting 4 fragments, and let's head to those. The first fragment will increase your slow effect gains, or should I say your slow stacks, and it's called the Whisper of Durance. Slow that you apply to targets lasts longer. For those abilities that linger, their duration will also increase, and you'll also get plus 10 strength. The second fragment go for Whisper of Fissures, which ties to stasis crystals and also freezing targets if you want to increase your damage even further. So it would increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis whenever you were to destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. So in this build, we are going to be doing both of those. On the third fragment, I would recommend going for Whisper of Shards just for more ability, or should I say grenade regeneration. So whenever you shatter a stasis crystal, it will temporarily boost your grenade recharge rate. And if you were to shatter additional stasis crystals, it would increase the duration of this benefit. The last fragment you're going to want to put is Whisper of Rime. Your frost armor has increased duration and maximum stack counts. So we are using 2 weapons that will provide us frost armor: our exotic grenade launcher, that is the heavy weapon we're using, and also our stasis scout rifle. Might as well we're talking about the weapons, let's head to the kinetic weapon. What's really cool about this build is that you can choose any stasis scout rifle in the game, but I decided to put the new scout rifle that came out recently called the Red Tape. In the gameplay that you are seeing, I do not have the god robe, which is Rime Stealer and Headstone, but I just have Headstone. But if you are one of those people that did get the god robe for the Red Tape, let me show you guys what it really does for these perks on this scout rifle. On the third column, go for Rime Stealer. If you were to destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target with this weapon, it would grant you frost armor. I also forgot to mention that if you do not have the god robe for this scout rifle, don't worry, we do have seasonal artifacts that would also provide us even more frost armor. The one that I can think of right now is by getting precision hits rapidly with stasis weapons to give you frost armor. On the fourth column, be sure to go for Headstone. Headshot kills spawns a stasis crystal at the victim's location. So you would get a precision kill, destroy the crystal, and it would give you frost armor. And another thing why I chose to put the scout rifle is the origin trait called the Dark Ether Reaper. I am using the seasonal artifacts that would make this origin trait even better, but if you don't know what it does, you would have a chance to get these dark ether charges that would spawn near your enemies that are dead if you were to get kills with this scout rifle. And if you were to either shoot those dark ether charges, it would overflow the magazine, or you can just run into them. Either of the two would work, but on one of the artifacts, instead of it spawning 1 dark ether orb, it's going to be spawning 2. And for the weapon mod, I would recommend going for heavy ammo finder just to give us a little bit of a chance to give us even more heavy ammo for our exotic grenade launcher. For the energy weapon, you can choose any special weapon you like in the game. I'm not going to go fully in depth on this weapon that I'm using for the build, but I'm using this arc sidearm called the Indebted Kindness, and the god roll you're going to want to go for is either Lead from Gold, Volt Shot, or Beacon Rounds Volt Shot. Onto the power weapon. If you guys like to have fun in Destiny 2, I would recommend using the stasis grenade launcher called the Salvation's Grip. A couple seasons ago, Bungie reworked this Salvation's Grip, so now it is more fun and less underwhelming. So all you would have to do for this grenade launcher is that you would have to hold your shooting button on the grenade launcher to charge it up, and as it's fully charged, you can tell by the reticle in front of your screen, that little U thing in front of you, and once that's fully charged, shoot it and it would spawn in a boatload of stasis crystals in front of you. And once those stasis crystals are spawned, hit fire those stasis crystals and all of them will shatter. For me, I would like to aim it in the middle of the stasis crystals if you want to destroy all of them. And if you were to destroy all of those stasis crystals rapidly, it would reload this weapon from reserves. And this will also freeze the target if you were to unleash those boatload of stasis crystals onto enemies, which is pretty cool as well. And if you do have the catalyst for the Salvation's Grip, it would basically give you Rime Stealer. So this is the second weapon for you to produce frost armor as well. So if you guys would like to check out the seasonal artifacts, here's what I was using for this build. Let's head to the stats. Your main priority when it comes to using this build for endgame content is to go for resilience to give you that 30% damage reduction if you have tier 10 resilience. And your second priority is to go for discipline to decrease your grenade cooldown. So here is the full build layout I am using for this build. If you guys would like to take a screenshot, or the dim loadout link would be in the description. Okay, let me show you guys the gameplay loop for the build. You're first going to want to do is convert your Duskfield grenade into the Bleak Watcher, and you can either toss it in front of you to do crowd control, or you can yeet it underneath you to give you those slowing round shots to your weapons, and also gives you stasis crystals that kind of is like a barricade in a way that protects you from projectiles. And if you are playing defensive, activate your healing rift to give you continuous healing while your stasis turret is protecting you. And then as your turret is wreaking havoc, use your weapons to get kills as you're slowing the targets with your bleak icicle shots if you are using the turret underneath you. And if you are feeling freaky, use the Salvation's Grip, charge that bad boy up, and spawn in a boatload of stasis crystals and just pop every single one of them. It is very satisfying. And once you use your weapons to get your super, activate Winter's Wrath and freeze everything with your light attack button. And once everything is frozen, activate your heavy attack button to shatter everything around you. Rinse and repeat. If you guys did enjoy this roaming super build video, I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit that like and sub button. This is the second to last episode of this series, and I'm not going to make a community poll afterwards because the only one that's left is Spectral Blades, so kind of sad that Spectral Blades got the end of the stick. If you guys would like to check out the other roaming supers that I made a build on, it will be on my channel, or there's a video on the right side of the screen that YouTube thinks that you might enjoy.